pirates, summon the heroic spirit Drake at the beginning. Author, like the wind. Chapter 61 Pursuit. I can't live in this tavern either. Ziyan looked at the debris of houses all over the place, and said lightly, let's go, everyone, let's end a place to live. We will live here tonight. Ziyan looked up at their tornado above him. Cough, cough, tornado. Let's go. Those guys outside, never mind. Fajeng. They never intended to do anything to us from the very beginning. Alright then. Originally looking at the tornado of people outside the broken tavern, after hearing Ziyan's words, he planned to fall to the ground. Wait, tornado. Seeing that the tornado was about to fall, Ziyan hurriedly stopped her. You don't need to fall, you can just why. Hearing Ziyan's words, Long Wan couldn't help but have question marks all over his head. Does she not understand deterrence? Ziyan wants her to why in the air. But when she saw Ziyan staring directly at the bottom of her skirt, she immediately knew. Why, this bastard actually peeped at my fat times. Pretty blushing, a large tornado quickly covered the hem of her skirt, and looked at Ziyan earnestly. When he saw Ziyan shaking his head in disappointment, Long Wan was so ashamed and angry that his neck turned red. You pervert. Thank you for the compliment. Hearing what Long Wan said, Ziyan happily returned to Long Wan. Asshole, I'm not complimenting you. The angry tornado quickly flew in front of Ziyan, and hit Ziyan with a head hammer. Ziyan quickly squatted down, clasped the tornado with both hands. His exposed smooth thighs quickly pulled the tornado to his neck and sat down. Seeing himself being pulled by Ziyan to sit astride his neck, Tornado was taken aback for a moment. Immediately realized that Ziyan was treating her like a child. You guy, didn't I tell you, don't treat me like a child? While talking loudly in Dongla's ear, Long Wan tapped Ziyan's head with his hand. It's more of a massage than a percussion, though. After all, the tornado did not use much strength. Of course I didn't think my tornado was a little girl. You are a 28-year-old adult, and I know that. Ziyan smiled. I really like you as a legal Lilai. I'm not a Lilai. You are a Lilai. Hearing that Ziyan said she was Lolita, Tornado became even more excited, twisting around Ziyan's neck. However, Ziyan didn't let her go. His hands really pressed down on Long Wan's thigh. No matter how hard he struggled, he couldn't get rid of Ziyan's hands, which made Tornado's whole body hushed and trembling. In the end, seeing that Ziyan wouldn't let her go no matter what, Long Wan also gave up. Allowing Ziyan to support him, Tornado gently hugged Ziyan's head, and followed his pace, moving forward. Boss, our ship is ahead, a subordinate of the heavily made-up girl said excitedly when she saw her own boat docked on the shore. He has been following girls with heavy makeup for a long time, and girls can always lead them out of danger. Therefore, he trusted the girl's judgment very much. Since she felt that staying at Whiskey Hill was in danger, he would not be willing to leave with a girl. He would not be willing to sacrifice his life for money. Great. Hearing what the subordinate said, the girl with heavy makeup who was running fast shouted happily, hurry up, everyone, get on the boat and leave this ghost place. Did you see the tavern that suddenly collapsed just now? If you don't want to become like that, just run as hard as you can. As he spoke, he accelerated his speed and ran towards the boat. Soon, the girl and her subordinates were all on board. Hurry up, quickly lift the anchor, and sail now. The girl on board also felt a little more relaxed, showing some smiles. The fellow subordinates also had smiles on their faces, happy that they were about to leave their danger. Well, can I bother you? Just as the girl and his subordinates started the boat, a gentle female voice came from their shadow of the boat. Who? The girl and her partners quickly looked in the direction of the sound. Under the moonlight, a beautiful woman in a purple tights, with beautiful hair and a smile walked out of the shadows and appeared in front of them. It's you. The girl with heavy makeup recognized this person immediately. She was the woman who was next to Ziyan in the tavern just now. The woman Ziyan called Yuan Liguang. Although she didn't see this woman on the arrest warrant issued by the Navy, she wouldn't believe that Minamoto Reimitsu, who was able to join the Drake pirates, was an ordinary person. Moreover, although Minamoto Reimiko had a smile on his face. But she could clearly feel their strong coldness in Yuan Liguang's eyes. Please, please let us go. The girl who guessed that Minamoto Reimitsu might come here to deal with them said quickly, just let us go. We are willing to do whatever you want us to do. Really? That's really great. Minamoto Reimiko smiled softly. Then, can I invite you to die for it? Hearing Minamoto Reimitsu's words with a deep chill, the girl and the group all broke out in cold sweat. Thinking of the bounty hunters they saw ying hundreds of meters into the air just now, they didn't have the guts to do anything against Minamoto Reimitsu. Chapter 62 The Tavernkeeper Who Can't Escape. You poisoned my dear master just now. Minamoto Reimitsu pulled out the samurai sword boy Iri Yasuna from his waist and slowly walked into the group of heavily made-up girls. That can't be done. I will never let you go if you try to hurt your dear ones. Minamoto Reimiko looked coldly at the people in the tavern who were trying to escape. As the distance draws closer, Minamoto Reimiko's boy, Chean's Yuna, begins to glow with thunder. Darling must be anxiously waiting for me to go back now. So I have to go back as soon as possible. Without my company, My dear will nightly not be able to sleep, he. As he spoke, the corners of Minamoto Liguang's mouth curled up for a kiss, and his face also turned red. Damn it, I don't believe we don't have a chance. Little ones, come with me. The girl with heavy makeup who was talking found that her gaze had changed. The gaze that was originally looking directly at Minamoto Reimiko had now shifted to the sky, and the gaze was still changing with time. When the gaze became downward, the girl saw her blood-spattered body without a head. So, have I been beheaded? With the girl's last thoughts, she fell asleep forever. Boom, boom. Looking at the head and body of the girl who fell on the deck, the bounty thunderers who were about to attack Minamoto Reimiko just collapsed on the deck, their limbs trembling. Soon, as Minamoto Reimiko's gear passed among them, they all fell to the deck with blood spurting, without breathing. Then you must hurry back to my dear. Minamoto Reimitsu put away his knife, glanced slightly at the roof of a building in the distance, and quickly left the ship in the direction of Xian. At this moment, on the top of the building that Minamoto Reimiko glanced at, a dark-skinned man in a hat was leaning against the wall, breathing in fresh air. Boss, I was discovered by that woman. When she left, she took a special look at my side. The man looked horrified, and said, while holding the phone bug with trembling hands, Wisey, the tavern owner of Whiskey Peak, is dead. That guy was beheaded by Xian's companion before he even had time to use his own devil fruit. That woman's speed is so fast, I didn't even see how she swung the knife clearly. I just saw her appear behind Wisey in an instant, and then Wisey's head flew into the sky. That's it. A thick and gloomy voice came from the phone bug. It's a pity that Wisey's ability is good. I originally planned to promote her to a senior agent soon. It seems that it is unnecessary. You tell me the remaining Bbook workers on the Whiskey Peak, and they are not allowed to take action against the Drake pirates. Crocodile, a sand crocodile far away in Alabaster, was smoking a cigar with a gloomy face. The pirate group that can defeat Garp and the Yellow Monkey is not something you can eat. Tell them, if they are greedy for money, that tavern owner will be their end. Yes, boss, I'm going to notify the rest of us. After the call ended, the man immediately took action. He knew very well that if boss' decision was not implemented properly, he would be permanently hunted down by Bbook works. In the past, there have been people from the work club who failed to complete the tasks assigned to him, were hunted down on several islands, and there were guys who were killed in the end. He didn't want to follow in that guy's footsteps. While the man was busy informing Crocodile, a member of the Bbook work agency, about his decision, Minamoto Reimitsu came to the place where Xian and his party lived. This is an empty building not far from the tavern that was blown away by the tornado. At this moment, in Xian's room, Xian was lying in Scheherazada's arms, quietly listening to her telling the story. The story ends here. Shanruzad lightly stroked Xian's bangs with his hand. My king, you satisfied with this story? Xian reached out and grabbed Shanruzad's hand on his head, and said softly, of course. I will never tire of hearing your stories. So, can you please tell me stories all your life? Of course, my king. Scheherazade gently rested his head on Xian's head. If it's your wish, I'm happy to obey it. Boom. Honey, I've dealt with those guys. Now we rest together. Yuan Liguang, who came outside Xian's house, just pushed away Xian's room, and saw Xian and Shanruzad who were getting close. Shanruzad, you are really cunning. Minamoto Reimiko walked up to Xian quickly, and pulled Xian into his arms. It's not good, it's not good, it's not good, it's not good to eat it. While I'm going to help my dear get rid of bugs. Obviously I just helped my dear, so I should get close to my dear RST. As he said that, tears of grievance began to radiate from Minamoto Reiko's eyes. That, Reimitsu, I asked Scheherazade to come to my room and tell me stories. Xian stretched out his hand weakly and said to Minamoto Reimitsu. Chapter 63 Encounters on the Sea. If you want to tell a story, I can do it too. Minamoto Reimitsu held Xian's head tightly in his arms from behind. Honey, do you want me to tell you the story of my previous crusade against ghosts? Okay, I'd love to hear. I could tell your story. Xian stroked Minamoto's hand and said softly. Great, my dear, I'm so glad you want to know me. Minamoto Reimiko happily kissed Xian's face, and pulled Xian to his lap. So, let me tell you about me now. Where do I start? While Minamoto was thinking, Scheherazade smiled, stood up, and planned to leave Xian's room to give Minamoto some space. In Scheherazade's heart, anyway, the time with the king is still very long, a lifetime. Seeing that Shanruzad was about to leave, Xian in Yuan Liguang's arms quickly grabbed Shanruzad's hand. Stay here, and you can also listen to Minamoto Liguang's own affairs, and treat it as everyone getting to know each other. After speaking, Xian turned his head to look at Yuan Liguang and said, Liguang, is it okay? Although I would rather stay alone with you, since it's what my dear Xian wants. That's okay. Minamoto Reimiko looked at Xian dotingly. What Drake said earlier also made her gurret out. and she no longer thought that she must possess Ziyan alone. Although she would often think about staying alone with Ziyan as much as possible. After hearing Minamoto's words, Ziyan pulled Scheherazade to sit beside him and Minamoto. Look, Reimitsu also agreed, so tell me more stories with Minamoto Reimitsu tonight. Okay, Scheherazade? Ziyan looked at Scheherazade with hope, expecting her to promise him. Since it was the king's idea, I was willing. Scheherazade looked at Minamoto Reimitsu and Ziyan, blushed and nodded. Ah, what the hell are you doing? Pushing away the tornadoes of Ziyan Fang and looking at the three of Ziyan who were tightly hugging each other, he shouted loudly. It's too shameless, you are too shameless. Ziyan, who was awakened by the tornado, rubbed his eyes, got up and stretched, and looked at the tornado with hazy eyes. Morning, tornado, thank you for waking me up. It's already noon. Long Wan blushed and looked at Ziyan who lifted the quilt and exposed his upper body. The others have been waiting for you for a long time. I really couldn't wait, so I came to call you. Get up, put on your clothes quickly and come downstairs for me. Boom. After finishing speaking, Tornado slammed the door shut. Hearing the footsteps of Tornado leaving, Ziyan smiled and patted Scheherazade and Minamoto Reimitsu beside him. Okay, both of you, get up. Soon, Ziyan, who was dressed, brought Minamoto and Scheherazade down the stairs. Refreshed. HMPH. Looking at Ziyan who was smiling, Long Wan snorted unhappily. Sorry, everyone, I got up late. Ziyan apologized to everyone. Then, let's set off now, and I will leave the navigation to you, Drake. Of course, Derek replied brightly. The warm sunshine shone on the sea and everyone on the Golden Deer, giving everyone a lazy and peaceful feeling. Just now, Ziyan and his party left Whiskey Mountain. I didn't meet anyone on the way, and everyone automatically stayed away from them, for fear that this group of men would kill them. After all, just this morning, they found a group of people from the tavern that had been wiped out on the shore. They not only killed Mons, the strongest in Whiskey Peak, but also Wisey, the tavern owner with a mysterious origin. This prevents them from having any bad thoughts towards Ziyan and his companions. After all, they don't want to be killed casually like Wisey and Mengze. The people in the Bbook Work Agency stayed away from the Whiskey Mountains temporarily, whether it was because of their boss's order or the strength of the Drake pirates. They dared not approach Ziyan and the others again. Therefore, after receiving their boss's order last night, they immediately went to sea away from the Whiskey Peak to avoid contact with the Drake pirates. Ding. I found a devil fruit near the host. Please ask the host to collect it. Huh? Ziyan, who was hugging the tornado in his arms as a pillow and lazily lying on their recliner, was taken aback when he heard the system voice in his head, opened his closed eyes, and looked around. Soon, Ziyan found a pirate ship approaching them from the left side of the Golden Deer. In front of the pirate ship, there was a small boat heading towards the Golden Deer. On the boat, a tall beauty with a hat, long black hair and tight clothing was rowing desperately towards the Golden Deer. It's this woman. Ziyan easily recognized the woman in front of him. After all, this woman is also one of the most important people in this world. The one who survived O'Hara, son of the devil, Nicole Robin. Chapter 64. Nicole Robin. Today is a day of disaster for Nicole Robin. She didn't expect to meet them at sea a month after betraying the Axe Pirates. The sea is not a town, which can give her a chance to escape their pursuit. On the sea, his own small boat could not compare to the ships of the giant Axe Pirates. After she was spotted by the Axe Pirates, she was quickly pulled into the distance by them. If it wasn't for the giant Axe Pirates who deliberately wanted to see their own ugly appearance and didn't try their best to sail, Nicole Robin's boat would have been caught up long ago. Even so, facing the giant Axe Pirates who blasted a shell at her, she will be caught by the giant Axe Pirates sooner or later. If she was unlucky, she might even be bombarded into the sea by shells, and then as a devil fruit capable user, she would be completely hopeless. Although he knew that he and the giant Axe Pirates were facing each other head-on, the chance of victory was very small. But Robin has no choice, she can only give it a go, hoping to defeat them and escape smoothly. Just as Robin was about to stop rowing and face the giant Axe Pirates head-on, he saw their Golden Deer of the Drake Pirates. Nicole Robin is well aware of the recently famous ship of the Drake Pirates, the Golden Deer, and newspapers have published photos of the Golden Deer. Seeing the Golden Deer, Robin immediately rowed hard towards the Golden Deer. Hope to get the shelter of the Drake Pirates? Although I don't know the character of the people on the Drake Pirates, would they be willing to help? But at least this is a hope of survival, and Robin is unwilling to give up the hope that he can survive. And I can also ask for help by thinking that they interpret the historical text as a condition. Their Drake Pirates may be interested in the historical text. Boom. A shell landed on the sea next to Robin, who was rowing hard. The impact of the shell overturned Robin's boat, and Robin fell into the sea. Ah, is this the place where I died? Falling into the sea, Robin felt powerless looking at the sea that was getting farther and farther away from him, and couldn't help becoming desperate. Sorry, Mom, I can't ND the actual historical text. Tears owed from Robin's eyes and mixed with the sea water. Just when Robin was about to close her eyes, a shining gear entered her eyes. Is this an angel? Just when Robin was wondering, a radiant gear had already arrived in front of her. At this time, Robin immediately recognized the actual leader of the Drake pirates, Ziyun, known as Black-Haired Admiral. Ziyun, who used telekinetic P-flower to come to Robin, put one arm around Robin's waist, and took Robin out of the sea in an instant, stopping in the sky above the sea. Cough, cough. After leaving the sea, Robin coughed a few times and looked up at Ziyun, who had saved him. Thank you, Your Excellency Ziyun. As you can see, I'm being hunted down by pirates. I hope to seek refuge from you. Oh. Seek shelter from a pirate, Nicole. Robin. Ziyun smiled lightly. Your Excellency knows me? Nicole. Robin, a famous archaeologist who can read historical texts. I still know. Since you know me, I'm willing to interpret the historical text for you. As long as you can protect me, that's me. Okay, just right. I'm quite interested in the last 100 years of history. Ziyun smiled. If you are willing to explain it to me, it will really help me a lot. Ziyun turned his head and looked at the pirate ship that Robin had stopped on the sea since he rescued him. Then, let's deal with the problem here. After speaking, Ziyun carried Robin and flew to the ship of the giant axe pirates. When the giant axe pirates saw Ziyun and Robin ying towards them, they all became alert. They recognized the black-haired and black-eyed man in front of them. For this big pirate who was offered a reward of 20 billion berry by the navy, the giant axe pirates had no intention of getting him at all. After all, with all the pirates on board, the bounty has just reached million berries. Hello, welcome, black-haired admiral, to our ship. The captain of the giant axe pirates, who was carrying a huge axe on his back, didn't say a word when he saw that he was on their ship. Instead, he kept looking at Ziyun around him, stepped forward, and said hello to Ziyun. Ziyun ignored Captain Great Axe, but turned to look at Robin beside him, and handed him a handkerchief to wipe the water. Can you tell me what kind of pirate group this pirate group is, Robin? The Great Axe Pirates are a pirate group that loves to attack civilians. They rarely confront other pirates or the navy head-on. Robin did not refuse the handkerchief Ziyun handed over, took the handkerchief, wiped his face, and said slowly, their bounties are not for their strength, but from their danger to ordinary civilians. Chapter 65 The Fearful Giant Axe Pirates. That means you are a bunch of pure pirates. After hearing what Robin said, Ziyun looked at Captain Great Axe and said calmly, hello, black-haired admiral, we have no intention of making an enemy of you. Seeing Ziyun and Robin's closeness, the captain of the giant axe hurriedly said, please don't trust this woman, she is that child of the devil, Nicole. Robin. She is a partner who often betrays and deceives her, and we were betrayed by her a month ago, which made us almost caught by the navy. That's why we hunted her down. Hearing Captain Hujax say that she often deceived her partner, Nicole Robin's heart tightened, and she was afraid that Ziyun would listen to it and would no longer be willing to help her. Robin wanted to refute, but didn't know how to speak. After all, these things can be found out with a little investigation. For so many years, she has indeed often betrayed and deceived her partners in the underground world, although she does not think that these people are her real partners. I know. Looking at the slightly nervous Robin, Ziyun smiled and said, I know she often betrays and cheats. But so what? I don't care. With a dangerous light in Ziyun's eyes, he scanned the members of the giant axe pirates. It's you. There is no need to exist. Ziyun stretched out his hands, and a faint light began to emerge from his body. Move. Can't move. How? What happened? With Ziyun's motivation, all the members of the giant axe pirates were unable to move as if the pause button had been pressed. After restraining the pirates with telekinesis, Ziyun temporarily ignored them, but walked towards the location of the devil fruit that the system prompted. Seeing Ziyun walking towards the cabin of the giant axe pirates, Robin quickly followed his footsteps. You really don't care? Robin asked Ziyun nervously. What they said is true. Over their years, I have indeed betrayed and deceived many people. Really? Ziyun stopped and looked at Robin with a smile. Then, you have worked hard all these years. Woo. Hearing what Ziyun said, Robin suddenly felt his nose ache for some reason. It seemed that the sadness of so many years of hard escape rushed to my heart, but it was melted by a ball of light. Seeing Robin covering his mouth and looking at him, Ziyun smiled, took Robin's hand and continued walking in the direction of the devil fruit. Looking at her hand being held by Ziyun, Robin raised the corner of her mouth, and didn't try to break free, letting Ziyun pull her into the cabin. After pulling Robin to Captain Giant Axe's room, Ziyun looked at a locked treasure chest and smiled. Hold the lock with your hands, and with a little force, the lock will break. This is a devil fruit, Robin said in surprise when he saw the screw-shaped fruit that Ziyun took out. I didn't expect that the giant axe pirates would have a devil fruit. It's just an animal fruit, not a pea-flowerful devil fruit, Ziyun said calmly, throwing the devil fruit in his hand. Do you know this devil fruit? Probably. Ziyun shook his head. Let's go. Robin. After taking all the treasures here, we can leave. I didn't expect such a weak pirate group to have a total of million berries. Looking at the treasure awaiting in the air with telekinesis, Ziyan said in surprise. After all, they have looted many towns. Robin looked at the treasure ying in the air with a little curiosity, thinking in his heart, maybe this is Ziyan's devil fruit ability. After taking the lead, Robin continued, it is precisely because I can't stand what they did that I betrayed them. That's right, but because of them, we can meet. To be honest, I'm still a little grateful to them. Okay, I've got all my things. Now I'm going back to the Golden Deer. Ziyan looked at Robin. I don't suggest that I take you for a ride. Robin smiled sensually. Of course. Haven't you experienced it just now? The corners of Ziyan's mouth raised, and he picked up Robin and used his telekinetic pea flower to Y into the sky. Behind them were the devil fruit and Bbook who had snatched from the giant axe pirates. It turned out to be a princess hug. Robin, who was suddenly carried into the sky by Ziyan in the form of a princess hug, spoke in surprise, and at the same time wrapped his hands around Ziyan's neck involuntarily. Why, is Nicole Robin still shy because of being hugged by the princess? Seeing Robin's surprised look, Ziyan said interestingly, I'm just a little surprised. Robin shook his head while supporting the ends of his hair blown by the wind with one hand. Then, I will take you to meet my companions. However, there is one thing to do. Rest. Ziyan looked down at the giant axe pirates below him. We must deal with them. Rest. What? Chapter 66 Duel Island. Looking at the pirate ship under his feet, Ziyan raised his head slightly. The huge pirate ship began to be carried into the sky by his thought pea flower, and its height was getting higher and higher, and it stopped when it reached the position of 1,000 meters. At this time, Ziyan withdrew the thought pea flower that was suppressing the pirates. When they ran to the side of the boat to check the situation, they all opened their mouths. Some pirates who guessed what was going to happen immediately had snot and tears streaming down their faces. Ziyan slightly raised the corners of his mouth and pressed down with his palms. Immediately, the ship of the giant axe pirates fell towards the sea at high speed. In just a few seconds, their pirate ship fell to the surface of the sea. Boom! The fast-falling pirate ship hit the sea like a cannonball. The hull disintegrated in an instant, and huge water splashes were also carried into the air. Looking at the disintegrated pirate ship, and seeing the splash of water in front of him being blocked by a light curtain, Robin was shocked. Although he knew that Ziyan was very strong, but when he really felt his strength in person, he couldn't help but be surprised. Well, it's true that they have all been killed. Ziyan, who was observing the members of the giant axe pirates, nodded when he saw that all the pirates were dead. Immediately, they flew to the Golden Deer with Robin. Here, this archaeologist, Nicole Robin, wants to take our ship, and I agree. After landing on their Golden Deer, Ziyan put Robin on the deck. I hope you can get along well. Hello, I'm Nicole Robin. Robin smiled softly. Next, I will sail with you, and I hope you can get along well. Since it's Ziyan's decision, of course I agree. Derek looked at Robin with his chest folded. However, she is really a pretty good woman. Other than Drake, everyone else agreed. Seeing that not only Ziyan is very different from the partners he met in the past, Drake and others on the Golden Deer are also very easy to get along with. Although Robin is still a little worried, he also begins to feel sorry for the companions on this voyage. With a little expectation. Then, in order to welcome Nicole Robin, let's have a banquet. Haha, you can drink well again. Hearing that the banquet could be held, Tsunade immediately laughed happily. Emiya smiled, walked into the kitchen, and started to get busy. By the way, Robin, how long have you been in this area? During the banquet, Ziyan approached Robin with a glass of juice. Do you know any interesting places nearby? After taking a sip of the juice, Ziyan continued, if you know something interesting, please tell us. We are still looking forward to interesting adventures. An interesting place? Robin tilted his head, thinking for a while. Speaking of interesting places, there's a pretty good one not far from Whiskey Peak. Robin took a sip of the fruit and continued, our current location is quite close to there. That place is called Defen Island, but besides this name, it has another name that is more famous. Oh. What is that? Ziyan showed interest. Its other name is Newcomer Duel Island of the Great Root. Robin smiled. I have been to this Newcomer Duel Island with an organization before. It is a place with many pirates and bounties. Hunters Island. However, on the island, bounty hunters and pirates will not attack each other at will. The island has its own unique rules. It is impossible to test when the rules were handed down, but everyone on the island follow this rule. Over there, if there are conflicts between people, they can only be resolved by going to the duel arena for a duel. If someone violates this rule, everyone on the island will attack the violator. It is rumored that on the island, and this very flowerful swordsman and ability user guard the rules of the island. People who thought they were very flowerful and challenged the rules were killed by those guardians. This is quite an interesting place. He heard that there was such an interesting place when he entered the Great Root, and Ziyan immediately had the idea of going there. Ziyan, let's go there. Hearing that there was a great swordsman there, Musashi immediately showed a very interested expression, and walked quickly to sit next to Ziyun. Seeing Musashi's expression, Ziyun smiled, turned to Robin and continued to ask, since it's called the newcomer Duel Island, surely no one can go to a duel. That's true. Robin looked at Musashi, however, Miss Musashi is eligible for a duel. Really? That's really great. Hearing Robin's words, Musashi touched his own knife. That's really great. There, only pirates with a bounty of less than million, or bounty hunters or other professions who have never caught a bounty of million or more can engage in a duel. Chapter 67 Robin's Worries. Can you only offer a reward of less than 20 million pirates? Ziyun smiled, and looked at Musashi. So, your reward didn't reach million and you helped you. A big pirate like me who offers a reward of billion won't stand a chance. Yun, you are showing off to me. You must be showing off to me. Seeing Ziyun's proud expression, Musashi immediately said dissatisfied, haha, where is it? I believe that our Musashi relative can also achieve a higher reward in their future, haha. Seeing Musashi's dissatisfied lips curled up, Ziyun, who thought Musashi was cute, immediately embraced Musashi and said with a smile, if you want to increase the reward, if you participate in the duel on that Duel Island, you must be able to increase your reward. Robin looked at the two frolicking, and continued to explain their island to them. There is a lot of attention there. The famous sea thieves, an excellent group of pirate hunters, and both the Navy and the world government are paying attention there. Those who perform well there are easily recruited by big pirates and powerful bounty hunter teams. The Navy will also get to know them through duels between pirates, so that they can be easily captured and placed with bounties. It's a nice island. It's equivalent to giving pirates and pirate hunters who want to become famous quickly a stage to express themselves. Ziyun put down his weapon, looked at Drake and the others who were still bustling with each other. Wait for the banquet after it's over. Let's go to the Duel Island. Great, you are so kind, Yun. Hearing Ziyun's decision, Musashi's face was instantly led with a smile. Hearing Musashi's compliment, Ziyun couldn't help touching the tip of his nose. Since you're going to participate in that duel, let's practice RST. Speaking of which, it feels like I haven't practiced swordsmanship with you for a long time. Ziyun stood up and projected the same double swords as Musashi with the projection magic he learned from Ymir. Although I don't use swords often, since I have learned your treasure, I still have to learn more about swordsmanship from you. This way I won't let down your treasure, and it will be regarded as a duel for you in the future. Warm up. Ziyun led Musashi to an open place, raised it up and pointed at Musashi. Then, Musashi-sensei, please give me your advice. Musashi smiled, and drew his own swords. Then, Yun, you have to be careful, I will be very strict. Please don't be so strict. Having said that, Ziyun did take the lead in attacking Musashi. When Ziyun and Musashi finished practicing, the banquet just ended. Seeing a lot of empty wine barrels around, Ziyun was worried about the wine reserves on board again. Looking at the darkened sky, Ziyun turned around and came to Robin, and said, let's go, I'll take you to your room. On our boat, you don't have to worry that we will exchange you for a reward, and you don't have to worry about it. The Navy and the world government will send people to catch you. Presumably you also know that the Navy and the world government may be more willing to arrest us than you. If the world government sends someone to arrest you, we will block them. Are you really not afraid of the world government? Robin put down his juice glass, stared into Ziyun's eyes and said, the world government is very strong, and they are definitely not just the flower shown by the outside world. Even if you have defeated the Navy the strong of their world, but if the world government really wants to free up its hands to deal with you. Speaking of this, Robin didn't continue talking. Ziyun smiled, turned around and signaled Robin to follow him. We are very strong. You don't know the strength of me and my companions to say that. Besides, we, Blue Star, are not limited to these people on the ship. In Ziyun's heart, it doesn't matter if these words are told to Robin. Not to mention that Ziyun believes that Robin will not disclose these things to the outside world at will, and even if the outside world knows about these things, it will only make their outside world more afraid of them. Blue Star. For Ziyun, this is actually a good thing. Robin, who followed Ziyun forward, couldn't help feeling a little shocked when he heard Ziyun's content voice. Is Blue Star really so flowerful? Why has no one in the world heard of this organization before? The Drake pirates went to sea? Boom. Robin, who was thinking, didn't notice that Ziyun in front of her had stopped and bumped directly into Ziyun's back. Turning his head, Ziyun couldn't help smiling when he saw Robin rubbing the tip of his nose. It's here. You can live in this room from now on. As he spoke, Ziyun pointed to the inside of the room. Thank you. Robin put down his hand rubbing the tip of his nose, and sincerely thanked Ziyun. Over the years, Robin has joined many organizations, but no organization has ever brought her a sense of security. But now, being here with Ziyun gave her a sense of security. For a long time, The nerves that have been tense for life have also been relaxed. Ziyan shook his head and said to Robin, "Okay, no need to thank you. Rest well today, and see you tomorrow. Good night." "Good night." Robin returned with a smile, and then walked into his room. Chapter 68 Books. After closing the door, Robin leaned against the door, and now that he was alone, he was nearly able to calm down. What a wonderful day. Robin lowered his head and murmured softly. For Robin, today was just wandering and daying as usual, but later he was rescued by Black-haired Admiral, because he suddenly encountered a pirate who had betrayed him before, and now he is even able to board his ship. Knowing that I often betray others, I am still willing to take me in. Is it because I can translate the historical text, and do I want to get ancient weapons like Crocodile who contacted me before? Or is it simply interested in the historical text? Or do you really plan to let me join the Drake pirates and become his partner? Robin thought for a while and shook his head. Let's stay in this pirate group for the time being. As for Crocodile, I won't go there. I hope that Sand Crocodile won't be angry. Robin smiled when he thought of Crocodile's expression after knowing that he had promised him to assist him but had not followed his promise. However, even if he is angry, he probably wouldn't dare to trouble the Drake pirates. For Robin, instead of cooperating with Crocodile now, she prefers to stay with Ziyan who saved her. At least Ziyan and the Drake pirates seem to be getting along very well. It was completely different from the people in the organization she had been in before. Such a flowerful pirate group would not have any idea about my bounty. Robin smiled. For the rest time, he felt that his bounty was not much. After all, the total bounty of this pirate group was already several billion. That Ziyan seems to be particularly interested in devil fruits. I can help him pay attention to this, and at least increase his weight in this team. Thinking of this, Robin stood up straight and began to look at the house. A small, but exquisitely and neatly fur-finished house appeared in her eyes. In the process of scanning, Robin's gaze stayed on a stack of books on the table. Walking into the desk, Robin found a note with writing beside the book. Sitting down on the chair, Robin picked up the note and read it by the light. There are not many books on the ship. Here are some books that are still vacant and no one has read them yet. By the way, I wrote the book, but the content of the book is the story I heard from Scheherazade, and I am only responsible for writing it out. The name of the book is 1001 Nights, and it's not finished yet. After all, I haven't finished listening to Scheherazade tell these stories. If you are interested in the future, I can continue to write for you. Also, among the companions on board, Imiyashiro, Dio Brando, and Scheherazade prefer to read books. They also store these books there. If you have finished reading the books here, you can ask them to borrow them. Just say I allow it. Also, Dio Brando is rather arrogant, and his words may not be pleasant to listen to. I hope you don't mind. Well, that's all I have to say. I hope you enjoy your stay on our ship. Ziyan. Looking at the contents of the note, Robin unconsciously raised the corners of his mouth, feeling more at ease in his heart. Then, gently place the note in your hand on the table. Looking at the note on the table, Robin frowned slightly. He picked up the note again and put it in his underwear. After finishing all this, Robin picked up the 1001 Nights written by Ziyan himself. Opening the book, Robin saw the neat handwriting in the book, smiled slightly, and a warm current surged in his heart. Soon, with Ziyan's words, Robin sank into the interesting stories in the book. Seeing Robin walk into the room, Ziyan smiled. After staring at the door for a while, he turned and walked towards Drake's room. When Ziyan came to Drake's room, before Drake returned to the room, Ziyan sat down on Drake's bed. It's still the same. Looking at the several bottles of wine placed in the house, Ziyan couldn't help but shook his head and sighed with a smile. Lying on Drake's bed, listening to Drake's persuasive voice still ringing outside from time to time, Ziyan raised the corners of his mouth slightly, and slowly closed his eyes. Before he knew it, Ziyan's breathing slowed down and he fell into sleep. Drake, who walked to his room with a bottle of wine, couldn't help laughing happily when he saw Ziyan lying on the boat. "Yan, are you having a sweet dream?" Drake, who came to the bedside, smiled slightly when he saw Ziyan who was sleeping with a smile on his face. Drake went to the bedside, touched Ziyan's handsome face, and gently tapped Ziyan's lips with his own. "Yan, just rest here with me tonight." After speaking, Drake took off his clothes and lay down next to Ziyan. Chapter 69 Spirit Sun shifts position. Awakened by Drake's movement of hugging him, Ziyan slowly opened his eyes. Looking at the beautiful woman in front of him, Ziyan couldn't help kissing Drake. After being kissed, Drake smiled even more beautifully. "You drank a lot of wine again, Drake," Ziyan said to Drake jokingly, smelling the mixed scent of Drake's body and wine. "Besides, there are more and more wine bottles in your room recently, and the alcohol content is also constantly rising." Drake narrowed his eyes looking at Ziyan. "Haha, Yan, you know me, I just like the feeling of drinking. But you, why do you have time to come to my room tonight? Don't you want to listen to Scheherazade and Minamoto Reimitsu's ? Storytelling?" Haha. Looking at Drake who was making fun of him, Ziyun couldn't help rubbing his forehead against Drake's forehead hard. I came to you this time to tell you that I plan to set up a spiritual transfer position on your golden deer. In the future, I will be able to reach the golden deer directly through this position in other places. Moreover, if we set up positions in other places in the future, our companions can also use their positions to travel between the golden deer and other places with positions. Of course it's good. In this way, my skills are more closely connected with you. Drake brought his head into Ziyun's arms. Do you want to set up the position in my room, so that you can come to my room at any time, and you don't need to let others know? As he spoke, Derek raised his head and looked at Ziyun with a smile. With this position, you can also perfectly attack me at night. You bastard. Ziyun couldn't help picking Drake's forehead with his hand. However, your idea is quite tempting. Yeah, so set it up here. Okay, Drake said with a quick smile. Ziyun shook his head. Although I really want to do this, after all, I am not using this collar transfer position alone. There are other companions who want to use it, so it should be built in other places on the golden deer. Yun, you are afraid that other male companions will be teleported into my room? Drake looked at Ziyun amusedly. I thought that knowing you well, you wouldn't mind teleporting female companions into my room. Whether it is what are we doing? Haha. Hey, you bastard, don't tell me if you see through. Hearing what Drake said, even with Ziyun's thick skin, he couldn't stand it. Okay, I've decided. Ziyun nodded heavily. Now set up a collar transfer position in an empty room on the golden deer. After I have more devil fruits, I must set up a transfer position in your room position. Okay, I'm quite welcome. Haha. Drake laughed loudly. Not only in your room, but also in the rooms of Tsunade, Minamoto, Musashi and other female companions. I want to set up a position for each room. Ziyun nodded earnestly again and said, you are actually in my room, talking about other female companions in such a situation. Even I would be jealous. Seeing Ziyun's determined face, Drake said earnestly, and then turned over. Put Ziyun under pressure. Looks like I need to teach you a lesson. Hey, Drake, what are you doing? Seeing Drake, who was breathing more and more heavily, and was pressing himself harder and harder, Ziyun couldn't help but said, you hateful master. You pretended to be innocent with me. Don't you know what I want to do? Wait, Drake, I have to set up the collar and move the position. It's not too late to set up height tomorrow. Wait. Ziyun, who had just opened his mouth to speak, was blocked by Drake's red lips. In the early morning, the chirping of seabirds resounded around the golden deer. The rising sun cut through the darkness of the night, and the beautiful rays of light shone on the golden deer. It also cast through the window of Drake's room, shining on Ziyun and Drake. Ziyun, who opened his eyes slightly, looked at Drake who was sleeping peacefully beside him. With a smile on his face, smiled happily, and kissed her lightly on her red lips. Afterwards, Ziyun got out of bed, and was going to enter an empty room on the golden deer to set up a spirit seed transfer position. Now Ziyun has 2 devil fruits on his body, although he has also considered summoning new partners to improve his combat effectiveness. But thinking about it, now, all the companions on the ship had up to a force that no force dares to underestimate. So he decided to set up a transfer position on the ship in the CRST, so as to improve his mobility and make it easier for him to travel to and from the golden deer. If one day I am not on the golden deer, and everyone on the golden deer happens to encounter a powerful enemy, I can quickly transfer to the golden deer through the position. Even if transfer positions are set up in other places, everyone on the golden deer can also transfer away according to the situation. Chapter 70. Drake's heartfelt voice. Are you going to set up the linked site transfer position? Just as Ziyun was about to leave the room, Drake's voice came from behind him. Ziyun turned around and looked at Drake slightly apologetically. Sorry, I woke you up. Drake shook his head, lifted the quilt that Ziyun had just covered, and stood up. The graceful gear was unobtrusively displayed in front of Ziyun's eyes, which made Ziyun's heart itch. Go and set up the RST collar transfer position, and it's still on my golden heart. How can I not watch it? Drake said while putting on his clothes. This is a very commemorative event. In their future, please don't wake me up just because you want me to sleep longer. As if aware of Ziyun's gaze, Drake's movements of putting on his clothes were deliberately slow, and his movements were quite wide, showing a mature appearance. She seemed to be very happy that Ziyun's gaze would stay with her for a little longer. It took a while before Drake got into his clothes. Coming to Ziyun's side, Drake held Ziyun's fingers at the entrance of the alley with one hand, looked at him with a smile and said, let's go. I'll take you to the empty space of the golden deer and let you set up a position. Ziyun felt the warmth of Drake on his hand, and smiled happily. Go and call Tsunade and the others. Since you said this is a memorable moment, it would be better to call all your companions. That's right. I actually only thought of me. I really shouldn't. Drake patted his head and stuck out his tongue. Seeing Drake's cute expression that he had never shown before, Ziyun was taken aback. I didn't expect that the generous and valiant Captain Drake would also make such an expression. Ziyun felt his heart beat faster, but oh, it's really cute in contrast. Of course, Whether it's handsome, you are still cute. I like you very much. After speaking, Ziyan pulled Drake into his arms, and his clear heartbeat came into Drake's ears. Hearing Ziyan's slightly rapid heartbeat, Drake smiled happily. When I was sailing in my world, I didn't know why I didn't have a good relationship with a good man. After all, I am also a woman. In my heart, I used to think that if I have a partner, living on land is not bad. But now, fortunately, I didn't have to live on land before. If it wasn't for that sailing experience that made me a heroic spirit, then I definitely wouldn't have met you, Yun. Now, I'm grateful for that voyage, and I think it's because of that voyage that we met here. And that part of my journey must have existed to end you. Drake raised his head and stared deeply at Ziyan. The end of my journey is you. Hearing Drake's words, Ziyan hugged Drake tightly in his arms. The lips were heavily printed on Drake's delicate red lips. After a long time, they separated. Thank you, Drake. It's really my luck to meet you. Let's go and inform the other companions. After hugging for a long time, Ziyan let go of Drake, and led Drake to the other companions' rooms. By the way, do we need to call that little girl named Nicole Robin? On the way to Tsunade's room, Drake turned to Ziyan and asked, since I decided to invite her to join us, let's treat her with sincerity from the very beginning. Ziyan said with a smile, so, I don't plan to keep this matter from her. Besides, I have no doubts about history. The text is indeed quite interesting, and if we can reveal a history of that 100 years to the outside world, it must have a great impact on this so-called world government. In this way, it will also have a very positive effect on pushing us to the world government, and, even more, to control the world. In addition to Robin's ability to interpret historical texts, you are also very interested in him. Drake pressed close to Ziyan's arm. After all, she is also a very beautiful lady. Well, I just don't deny it. Haha. Ziyan laughed. I knew it. Derek looked at Ziyan amusedly. However, since you're Yun Zongyai, I will help you too. Then, I have to really thank you. Ziyan replied. You are by my side. That is the greatest thanks to me. Derek leaned his head on Ziyan's shoulder and said softly, bang, bang, bang. After Ziyan and Drake called all the companions except Robin, Ziyan knocked on Robin's door. Robin, are you up? We're going to witness something collectively. If you're up, go with us. Wait a minute, I'll come out right away. Just as Ziyan finished speaking, Robin's voice came from the room. After a while, Robin, who was dressed neatly, opened the door and came in front of Ziyan, Drake and others. If you like this audiobook, subscribe the channel for more videos like this. Leave some comment and let me know if you guys like this story, or you have a web novel you like and want to hear its audiobook. I will be happy to create them for you. Please like, share, and leave a comment on the video.